But suppose census data is really very wrong. And that's what we decided to look into. Now, even though over the years, those census figures of 8 to 12, approximately 12 is now the figure, has been repeated over and over again. I read the LA Times every morning, and they never veer from quoting this 12 million illegal figure. So even though they may fleetingly report some contrary information, it's almost as if you can't penetrate this mindset, no matter how many good studies you produce, showing that this is probably way, way off the mark. The mainstream press continues to insist, or repeat at least, the Census Bureau figures. Now, Nancy Bolton, she's not the only one of the contributors to this book who is not here this morning. Nancy has an elderly parent that she does not leave, and she doesn't do too much traveling now. She got at and had the credentials to look at something that has needed looking at for a long time. You know, the country has changed a lot. It used to be that if your government asked you a question, harmless question, how many people live in your household? There wouldn't be any particular reason why you would say 3 if there were 5 or 6. But now we have a very large group of people. First of all, they don't have the same feeling about responding to legitimate questions from their government, but they have a lot at stake here in revealing that perhaps they're living in violation of all zoning laws in a 2-bedroom house that has 15, 20, 30 people, many of whom are not in the country illegally, many of whom are in the country illegally. Why would they even answer the question? And the fact of the matter is they don't answer the question. 67% of all people don't answer the Census Bureau questionnaire, and an even smaller number do not respond to a subset of questions that is asked a smaller group at a later time. So I feel like that since there's a lot of incentive not to answer or to answer incorrectly, it's not so much that the census is remiss in their analysis. I don't think they are. They're just not dealing with good information. If you put bad information into the most sophisticated computer system, you're not going to get very valid and reliable results. And I think that is really what we're looking at here. Now, this study of illegals simply shows a lack of real penetration of the problem and a concentration by both the Department of Homeland Security and all the agencies that are involved with this huge sort of underground population. What I think you all should read, and which many of the authors who are sitting here refer to, is something called the Bear Stearns Report. The kind of information, of input information into their study is entirely different than asking people to voluntarily give you some information that may conceivably harm them. It doesn't depend on people's cooperation. And it's unusual that a study of this issue came from a financial institution like Bear Stearns. Their interest primarily was in the underground economy, and a very large number of both legal and illegal immigrants, and probably many other people as well, are in this entity called the underground economy. So they decided to use quite different criteria. Instead of going to people's houses and saying how many people live there, they looked at some very objective factors. They looked, for example, at remittances. We know that and they looked at remittances to Mexico because we have good information about the remittances that are sent to Mexico. And while the Census Bureau was telling us that the tally of Mexicans had increased by 56%, the remittances that were sent home showed that they had increased 4 times that amount, by 199%. And then they looked at things like school enrollment and housing starts and so on. And of course, their estimate of the value of what they call the underground economy is so huge that they think it would pay off the national debt if they could finally bring the underground economy under control. So I'm not going to go on and on here, but those are the reasons we got into this. We feel like there isn't this clear, clean distinction between legal and illegal immigrants, because someone who's here legally will encourage his family members, and they can be, as you know, parents, adult children, siblings, the siblings, spouses, their parents. This is kind of a chain migration situation where one person can bring in as many as, say, 200, 250 or more others. So this is a big population issue, and if the federal government gets its way, and we amnesty all of the, or most of the present illegal population, we're just going to have immigrants here who are legal. It's not going to be a terrible help. So we do have to at all times know that this study is really focused on the numbers. There's a huge group of unknown numbers here, mostly because of what I like to call the nonfeasance of the federal government in fulfilling their responsibilities here to the rest of us.